How's my sound? Is it better without the earbuds? All right, here we go. CP3D Douglas Domke Daily. Oh, I got to deliver your last name if I'm going to do that the right way. Douglas Domke Daily. There we go.
All right.
It is 10:45 p.m. in Detroit, Michigan. And David texts me and he's like, "Hey man, I'm ready to do an episode." And I knew it was coming. And I just have one question, David.
Yeah.
Who in the hell is JD Vance and why should I give a damn?
JD Vance, full name James David Vance. Grew up
No
in,
way.
yeah, no, my oldest
James
brother's,
David?
yeah, my oldest brother's name is James. So like he's got two of our names. All right. Like already
That's my
I'm
middle
annoyed.
name.
What's that?
You don't like the guy just based off of that. I get it.
Exactly. James David Vance, JD Vance. Uh quick aside, sorry. My wife about Lisa, like 7 hours ago when the announcement was made, walked past the door and she was going past my office door, just kept moving on. And then she like doubled back and she poked her head and she goes, J.A. Vance, what the hell? I'm like, but it's J.D., but you're right. What the hell? Okay.
What the hell is the right answer? Yeah.
So look, he grew up in Ohio, small town Ohio, and he wrote a book. No, I'm sorry, he served in the Marines. Thanks for your service, sir. Served in the
Hmm.
Marines. Went to the Ohio State University as somebody from Michigan. Already major strikes against him, and he he wrote a book in the early 2010s called Hillbilly Elegy.
Yes,
It was
yes.
about,
Legendary.
yeah, is a book became a New York Times bestseller, and it's about growing up white working class in Appalachia, America, which is Eastern Ohio, and poverty, drugs, um, the battle to kind of like break through systemic challenges. And the book was a like a it was seen as a kind of anthem for white working class um, Appalachian poverty, which is the poverty there is breaking. It's
Oh
terrible. It's
yeah.
very difficult.
Yeah, I remember when the book was out. I remember Joe Scarborough was really hot on it. And he was like, Morning Joe. He was like, this is an unknown truth in America.
Yeah, and it was 2016 the publishing, and it was about him. It's considered a memoir. It's about him, but more largely about the culture there. And the book has got several pieces to it that we can critique. There's pieces about it that don't really
Wait, this came
resonate
out.
with
This
me.
came out before the election.
Came out in 2016 during that year.
Yeah,
Okay.
no, I know, but it was earlier in the year, right?
Yeah. And
Okay,
then when
that
when
that
when
is
Trump
super
won,
relevant.
right,
Yeah.
when Trump wins, and Trump wins so strongly in 2016 among rural whites in this
Hmm.
country, Vance's book is seen as kind of a part of an understanding of how that
Yeah.
occurred. So Vance writes this book, becomes this major celebrity. We can unpack who he was, and I didn't love him then. Um, but he despises Trump in 2016. He
Yeah.
despises Trump. Like Trump is that person that he talks about in the book who manipulates and uses these white working class poor people for political purposes that has no care at all for these people, right? Just uses and abuses them in all kinds of ways. And he calls Vance calls Trump. He says I'm a never Trumper, and Trump is the
That's right.
worst. And he goes so far as to call Trump America's Hitler.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, he is brutal in his critiques of Trump. Um, and then at some point in time, Trump wins. And at some point in time, Vance decides that he wants to have a political career and he decides to run as a Republican. And he pivots all the way across the continuum to become the biggest ass kisser for Trump that's out there, and does everything possible to warm up to Trump. And Trump loves this kind of stuff when you humiliate yourself to try to get on his best side.
Mhm.
And Trump famously goes to Ohio in 2022 when Vance is running for the U.S. Senate for the Republican nomination for the Senate, and he goes there, and Trump says something like, I can say anything about JD.
Yeah.
He just wants to kiss my ass." All
Yeah,
right.
that's right. On the mic, right? Didn't he
Right. He
say
says
that?
it publicly. Yes.
Ah,
And Vance just, yeah, ha 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 ha. Like chuckles, like, yeah, you're right. Vance wins because he beats Tim Ryan, who's a pretty darn good moderate Democratic candidate in Ohio, but
very good.
Vance beats him.
Very good. Yeah.
And Vance is now a senator in Ohio. He's a junior senator in Ohio. So the end of the first part of your question is like, who the hell is JD Vance? Is that JD Vance embodies the way in which the Republican Party has bowed to Donald
Mhm.
Trump. Okay, this guy came all the way across the spectrum from somebody that I had some disagreements about his characterizations of race and poverty and power in Hillbilly Elegy, but it was a good book. It was an important book. He's come all the way across, and it was a critic of Trump all the way across the spectrum to being the biggest the biggest fan of Trump. So much so that he said in 20 he has said this year that if he had been vice president in 2020, that he would have done what Mike Pence didn't do, which is
Mhm.
overthrow the election. So he's become this person that is embodies everything that is sad, everything that's sad about the Republican Party. And he today, obviously, I don't think we've said this yet. Donald Trump selected him as his vice presidential running mate for the Republican Party. So it's
That's why we
now
should care. That's why we should. Okay, finally we got to it.
Trump Vance, which quick funny joke, as somebody said on Twitter. Well, I'll never call it X. It's Twitter. As
That's right.
somebody said on Twitter, they just didn't want to change their yard signs, so they just put the V and the A over Trump Pence. Okay,
I saw that. Yeah. Yeah.
that's the first bit. Let me stop there, let you jump in, and then I'm going to turn to what it means ideologically in terms of issues and policies.
Yeah. So I think that one of the things about the Republican Party is that we've lived through this transformation of the party where the values, the American conservative values, some people thought they were real, some people thought it was all bullshit anyways to begin with. Some people in the party really believed that it was principled. It was based on principle. And people like JD Vance, I will also throw in there Lindsey Graham.
Yep, totally.
Okay.
Yep,
Right.
yep.
People who have completely changed what they believed and done a 180 to get closer to victory, to power, to being liked and loved. They will completely change their identity. And I think that one of the reasons why people who identify with Democrats find that to be so disgusting is because we have huge battles on the left about identity, right? About like who we are, defining that, having people respect it and see it. So for them to just swap it the fuck out is amazing to them. To us, it is like it is the antithesis of who we are politically. So this is, I mean, he scraped the bottom. Now us talk about where this is going, and
Yep.
I want to start. I mean, you referenced Twitter, so I'm going to pull something up here, which says that JD Vance is exactly who you pick if you want to throw gasoline on the fire that's happening in this country right now.
Yeah.
So how does he represent? Because normally a vice presidential pick is a strategic move from a state you want to win that you can't win by yourself. They represent some demographic you don't represent. JD Vance is like young Trump.
Yep.
He's a young white dude who's just conservative. He was willing to match his persona and his values to Trump. So he's doubling down on everything.
Yeah.
What does that mean for this election?
Yeah. So the truth is, I believe that vice presidential picks don't do much. They don't. But you do want them, whatever degree they do, you do want them to strengthen the ticket. Okay. And
Okay.
strengthening a ticket usually means showing that you can appeal to voters that are not already in your camp. Okay.
Hmm.
That are not already in your camp. Because in theory, the voters in your camp, they're already with you. All right.
Right.
So you're trying to get a few more. And Joe Biden did that for Barack Obama for sure. Okay.
Yes.
For sure.
Yep.
Um,
Kamala
Vance,
Harris did it for Joe Biden to some degree.
absolutely.
Yep.
It strengthened his support and brought him some more supporters among younger female BIPOC individuals, right?
Yes.
Vance doesn't deliver that for Trump at all. He doesn't bring a state that Trump's probably got any challenge to win. He's going to win Ohio comfortably, almost certainly. So it's not that Vance helps there. And Vance does not in any way, shape, or form appeal to moderate Americans. And he doesn't appeal to the wing of the Republican Party that doesn't like Trump, which is the kind of national security Reagan wing, because he's an isolationist like Trump is, by which we mean he really just believes in this America First agenda and wants to just leave Ukraine to the wolves of Putin.
Right.
Okay, doesn't want to recognize America's world in the larger geopolitical sphere. So Vance doesn't deliver any kind of like outreach to people, and this is why Vance matters. He doesn't. He does. You put it exactly right. He doubles down on Trump. What
Hmm.
Trump has made a decision to do is to say, I want another Trump. I want another Trump. And I want somebody that can appeal to the people that I already appeal to. So that if something happens to me, if something happens to me, then Trumpism continues. Trumpism
Okay. Okay.
continues.
Okay. Hold on. I do not. This is so funny because Ben said this in the car. I actually, I don't think Trump thinks anything's going to happen to him. And he really just wants somebody he can look at who's like a mirror. He feels like there's
Sure.
a mirror to him, right? This is not like a just in case so my ideas follow. I feel like if Trumpism burned and died after Trump, he would be fine. Like he's like the pharaoh who wants all of his loved ones and his belongings buried with him. Like that, I think that's more of Trump. So, but I get what you're saying. What that means for us is that if something does happen to Trump, JD Vance is right there to just continue the plan. He's going to he can implement Project 2025.
Right.
He can keep the
Exactly.
Supreme Court trucking exactly the way it's supposed to be going right now and appoint more justices who look just like the ones that are there, etc.
Right. So uh that's what I mean is that he is Trump. He is. He wants to implement a national abortion ban. He is opposed to in vitro fertilization.
Yep.
He has said that same-sex marriages are an abomination, should not occur. Okay. The guy is absolutely Trump, but more. He's worse on so many things than Trump. He's so what it means for us, actually, for us who care about democracy, is that we've just seen the arc of the Trump universe extended beyond Donald Trump. That's what this is. It's a desire to say
Mm.
we're building the bridge to our future. That's Bill Clinton's famous words from his 1996 re-election campaign speech, a bridge to the future. Donald Trump is saying, I'm building a bridge to the future too. All right. And it looks like this. And so for us, for those of us that care about democracy, this should be confirmation, a further affirmation to us that the Republican Party is Donald Trump's party. And he has just identified the ideological heir to him, and he's picked JD Vance. In contrast, he could have chosen others who have a much different appeal. He could have chosen a Marco Rubio who appeals demographically beyond the current Republican Party. He could have chosen a Glenn Youngkin who has cast himself as a moderate and is the governor of a swing of a relative purplish state, Virginia. He could have chosen a rising star female like a Nikki Haley.
He could. I was just going to say that he could have chosen Nikki, and that would be a winning ticket. In the same way that we were really worried about a Nikki Haley presidential run.
Right. He could have chosen a lot of people, but he chose a mini me, is what he did. He chose a mini Trump, and that's very clarifying to me. And actually, it doesn't help Trump at all because, as I said, Vance doesn't deliver anything of real value to reaching out to new voters or to Ohio. What he does do, it tells us, is how clarifying. It clarifies to us how Trump is committed to this Project 2025 agenda, and I think that actually simplifies the message for us. Okay, like this is what they stand for, and Vance is tied to that agenda very, very closely.
Yeah, it's unequivocal now. It's unequivocal.
Exactly, it's unequivocal.
Yeah, I think that's interesting too because Trump is easy to influence, and there are people who have been working with him now and supporting him. People with deep pockets. You just heard Elon Musk say he pledges $45 million a month to him. There are people who want to see him succeed and want Trumpism to be successful. And so I could envision them actually wanting JD Vance as an heir to the Trumpism world if something were to happen to Trump, and then convincing Trump for whatever narcissistic reason to actually latch onto this dude because he's just like you and you can train him and he'll do whatever you want. But for them, it is the continuation of Trump and his policies. So this is more dangerous now because this is truly Trumpism. It's building a bench behind Trump should something happen. Maybe the Trumpism, the overwatchers of Trumpism have said, Trump, we got close to having no Trump. And so we need to choose somebody who's there just in case this happens again and they're successful. They can't kill our idea by taking out this guy. We've got to have someone else who's going to be there.
Well, on all the major fronts in the power bases of our country right now, the conservatives are Trumpy. Okay, so the New Yorker has a cover coming out in a week, and they always drop the visual image a little bit before. And the visual image is the 9 Supreme Court justices. It's a painting, not an actual picture. Sure. It's a painting, and there's the three liberal justices, all female, and then there's 6 Donald Trumps. Okay, that are there on. So there's the Trumpy court. Then you got in the House of Representatives a Trumpy House of Representatives majority speaker Mike Johnson, okay, who has bent his knee to Trump and is a Christian nationalist, okay. And then Mitch McConnell, who was a check on Trump. McConnell's, the Grim Reaper. He's horrible, but he did disagree with Trump. And the leader of the Senate. He's not going to be the leader of the Senate.
He stopped him on Ukraine. Right. He stopped him on Ukraine. Yeah.
And so whoever's going to be the new majority leader for the Republicans after this election in the Senate is going to be a Trump-appointed, Trump-endorsed individual as well. And so the reality is that Trump's levers, the Trump Republican levers are everywhere right now. Now, should this terrify us? Of course. But I'm already terrified, so I don't need more terror. I mean, it's I'm past the you can't take me up any higher on the terror scale. I'm very concerned about this, but it's clear that the Republicans are on the verge of a Trump trifecta. Okay, a Trump trifecta, and court, Congress, White House, and the reality is
I was waiting for you to say a Trumpfecta. Were you almost?
No, I wasn't. You're Dang right. Trumpfecta. But the upside of it is that's That's how democracy ends. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's who JD Vance is and why we should care. And I'm we got this pick. We now know where he is. We now know what's going on. We know what Trump's goal is here. It's the bridge to the future of Trumpism. So
Okay. So you're right. We have enough terror. I don't think we need to talk more about how JD Vance and Trumpism happens beyond if they win in the fall. Maybe we'll save that for a different podcast. No more terror for tonight. And also we want to keep these short. So Trump announces that in Wisconsin. He's in one of the blue wall states at the GOP convention right now, which is going on. And Wisconsin it's if I'm not in Michigan right now, I should be in Wisconsin right now. That's where I would be with our partners over there doing work. We want to give everyone an update on how things are going in general for safety in the field, and we've got actually some news on that. Is there anything else real quick on JD Vance? I know that you've been doing research all day long, David, on JD Vance. Any little nuggets you want to add before we jump over?
Last bit. So in 2022, JD Vance runs for the Senate and he wins in Ohio. There's a book written by a guy named McKay Coppins who writes for The Atlantic. McKay, the book is about Mitt Romney. He's got all these interviews of Mitt Romney in the book. And Romney has one quote about JD Vance.
Oh, no. Okay. I know this. All right.
And Romney's quote is, "I don't know that I can disrespect someone more than JD Vance." All right.
That's deep coming from Romney, man.
that's
I don't think he curses. I don't think Romney curses. So like, I disrespect you deeply. That's like, oh man, Romney's wife is probably crying. His kids are like scared.
Like, Dad, don't say that, right? Dad's so mad. What Daddy's gonna do?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm good. I mean,
the only thing worse he could say is that he wants to put JD Vance on the roof of his car and drive him across the country.
That's an insider joke for everybody right there. Okay.
Look it up, kids. If there's any young people listening who didn't get that joke. All right.
Look up Romney car roof. That's all you gotta look up, okay?
That's right. Okay. Republican National Convention.
It's in Milwaukee.
This is in Milwaukee. And there'll be more to say on this, but again, we want to keep these short. And we also want to make sure that a good portion of this is about CP. And one of the things that is real coming out of the assassination attempt on Donald Trump is that we are, and I say we, I mean the country is fearful of more of this, and those on the left especially are fearful of somebody wanting payback. The right has had a lot of rhetoric about this is the responsibility of Democrats, of the left, of Biden specifically.
Yep.
And so as much as we don't want to run in fear of a ghost or a shadow, we also aren't stupid, and we're not going to wait until disaster happens for us to modify our tactics if we need to, for us to take in new information, for us to check with subject matter experts and just get a handle on what's going on in the field and how people feel. So a couple new inputs. We had, it was pretty amazing actually. We had 50 people at our intro to CP workshop today.
Wow.
Which is a huge deal. We have those every few weeks. As we go into the fall, we're going to have them even more frequently. But they're Zooms for really new people. If you know anyone who you're introducing to CP, look for the Welcome to CP workshop, where they tell you about all the different programs and everything what we do. But there's some people who are signing up for door knocking, and they're basically saying, we're a little worried about this.
Yeah, fair enough.
For the first time, we're a little worried about this kind of violence. Everyone's always been worried about some crazy Trumper saying something at the door, but right now they're worried about targeted violence. And we have checked with the Wisconsin Democrats because we plan on going there in 3 weeks. The team's going out for their primary, and we've checked with folks in Washington and Yakima, and in Vancouver because Marie Gluesenkamp Perez is down there. And in Washington State, there's no changes right now, and they've gotten back to us and said there's no changes. But in Wisconsin, where the GOP is having their convention in Milwaukee, which is the big city to fight for voters to turn out big populations of African Americans, of Latinx folks there. That there has been some modification, and I'll read a portion of the message they sent us. It starts off with hi Ben, who runs fieldwork for CP, but it says we have issued guidance to put a pause on all events happening today with our organizing team.
Hmm.
However, there are likely still several county parties and teams moving forward with their existing plans. So this is the Wisdoms. Wisconsin Democrats across the state have said we put a pause in our official statewide operations. Counties operate more independently, and so there's some of those are moving at their same speed. Given that these are unprecedented circumstances, we are evaluating things on a daily basis and pivoting as needed. For now, we do not see the events of this weekend as changing anything in regard to Common Power's visit to Wisconsin. Exclamation mark. They're still super excited about us coming. So, this is one of those things that it's good to know that there's not any clear and present danger. I trust the Wisdoms. They're one of the best Democratic parties in the country. And our response has been similar to theirs. Pause, take in new information, check with your people, but try as much as you can to continue operations because it is so important to reach these voters right now, especially voters that you reach for the primary are multiples more likely to vote in the fall. They just start thinking about voting earlier. And so the Wisdoms do not want to lose the chance to reach out to people now and get them activated for this primary. So it was reaffirming to hear that our plans were very much in line with theirs.
Okay, it's July 15th today. When is our trip planned for Wisconsin?
I want to say it's the week before their primary in August. I'm going to look it up right now.
Like, just to give everybody who's listening a sense of like, okay, so when they're talking about no at this moment changes to our visit, we're talking about something that's 2.5 to 3 weeks from right now.
Yeah. August 9th.
Okay, 9th. So it's before that. It's just before that, right?
No, August 9th is when we land. Our people land on the 9th, and the election is the 13th.
Yeah. In my view, the fact that the guy who shot Trump and was trying to kill Trump, that the profile that has emerged of him is of a Republican affiliated person who
registered
Republican, had apparently Trump signs in his yard, okay, and doesn't have this long profile online of like unhinged kind of stuff, has, in my mind, really been one of the saving graces of this moment so far, is that it's not an easy person to target, to say, all you leftists, here you are, we're coming after you. Now, anybody who wants to come after liberals or Democrats or that still can do it, no problem at all, and have the energy and the vigor to do that. But the profile of this individual has definitely, I think, tamped that down a little bit.
You're saying it's going to activate less people, to go and do crazy things.
Yeah. So I feel like with the Trump VP selection today, that if we're able to kind of move ahead, and Trump himself showing up in public again actually has some value if he doesn't do crazy shit. Okay. Showing that I'm okay here. So I feel like we're coming through this. in a way that's better than it could be, certainly could be at this time. And so day by day, and nobody's closer to it right now than the Wisconsin Dems. I mean, that's right there in Milwaukee.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, this is good. And it was good to see that there was a pause though, because I do want to see that our folks are taking in more information and not just charging forward. So we'll keep everyone posted on this. Things like we're moving ahead as planned. Um, yeah, that's the latest. We've got probably tomorrow more news about the GOB convention, and I'll have more to say about what's going on here in Michigan because there's some good stuff cooking up here.
Yeah, and we're also evaluating whether we go this weekend to support Marie Gluesenkamp Perez in Washington. Correct? Is that right?
That's
Oh,
right. Everything they're saying though is that it's a go.
everyone's saying it's to go. Okay, well, then just one piece of news on that: the
Mm,
fundraising totals for the second quarter of the year are being released. The reports were due June 30th, and they're now becoming publicly visible. And Gluesenkamp's numbers were reported today. She raised 2.2 million, which is a very, very large number for a House
yeah.
member. So she's got a good chance. She's running against she's running against a Trumpy dude, Joe Kent. He was there again. He was there in 2022, and she beat him then. And I think she's got a great chance to win in 2024. Back to your point to close this all. And here's Gluesenkamp Perez, who's saying, I don't even know if I can vote for Joe Biden.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
I don't even know if I
Which
can
is a
vote for
good
Joe Biden.
move, man. That's a good strategic move on her part.
Right.
It's
And
great.
we're not throwing her under the bus. We're like, okay, we'll come knock doors for you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
Because you still hold most of the values that we're connected with.
Yeah. Because you're not crazy and you're going to listen to reason and we can debate some points with you and you're not going to drive us off a cliff. Yep.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So this is our second cast today. We'll get back to you tomorrow early on, right? Everybody?
That's right. That's right. Keep listening. Thanks for signing up. I think we're almost at 500 signups here on this in
That's
like a
cool.
day.
That's
It's
cool.
pretty cool. That's pretty cool. So, yeah, thank you everybody for being down to hear updates from us and just come closer. This moments like these require more from everybody. And if you give a damn about anything like community, um, yeah, you got to come closer to each other. So thanks for doing that with us over the air.
CP3D out.
Oh, now you got an outro. Oh man,
What I don't know. I
crazy.
mean, no wait, I don't know if your people are watching this visually. It's gonna be like the sports CP3D out, okay?
Wow. Wow. You that's like you just shot a 3-pointer and you do that after like you hit a home run and you do that to the crowd.
Exactly.
This is good. This is good, man. This is good. This is pretty advanced branding. Way to go. All right.
All right, man.
Take
Talk to you
care.
later. See you tomorrow.
Bye.
Bye.